Welcome. My name is Alexis Flowers, and I am the Director of Programs here at the Network of Enlightened Women. Our theme for 2022 is Lead Like a Lady, where we aim to celebrate conservative women in leadership and the positive impact they have had in society. Throughout the year, we will highlight women as leaders in their homes, in their communities, in their careers, and on their campuses. Which brings me to our panel. Today, I am joined by some of our amazing chapter leaders to talk about the impact they are making on their campuses. I'd like to introduce Abigail Anthony from Princeton, Jordyn Ney from Dickinson College, Lila Fraser from Mercer University. Welcome, ladies. All right, so let's start out with a little bit of background for those watching. So tell me about the leadership roles you've taken on and in your school and in your community. Maybe let's start with you, Lila.
So right now on campus, I find myself involved in a lot of things. First of all, I'm the president of my chapter of the Network of Enlightened Women here at Mercer. And I helped to found that chapter during my sophomore year with a few of my friends. I am also part of the professional business fraternity Delta Sigma Pi, and I am a member of our student leadership team with admission. So I do a lot of work with our student staff there.
Great, that's exciting. Jordyn, you want to jump in?
Yeah, sure. So hello, I am Jordyn, and I find it crucial to get involved in my school and my community in as many ways as I can, really. I've been fortunate enough to do so through a series of extracurriculars on campus and in local politics. So I'm a committee woman in my county. And I focus on endorsing candidates as well as civic engagement at the polls, at local events, and through grassroots campaigning. And then on campus, I am a treasurer of our mock trial team. That's one of my many passions. And mock trial is a work-intensive club where we're given a criminal or civil case, and then we act as lawyers and witnesses to perform that case all around the region. And of course, I am president of New at Dickinson College, and I founded that a few years ago, and that's how I got here today. So thank you.
That's great. Wonderful. Gosh, you guys are so busy. And Abigail, you want to jump in?
Hi, so I'm a junior at Princeton. I am the treasurer of our newly founded new chapter. I serve as president of our Federalist Society chapter, which functions more or less as a pre-law society for undergraduates. I'm vice president of Princeton Open Campus Coalition, which is a free speech organization. And then I'm chief copy editor for the Princeton Tory, which is our conservative publication on campus.
Wow, y'all are so busy, and that's amazing. We love having you all involved with new as well in your different roles. So let's talk about leadership and what that looks like. Some people have different kind of ideas or pictures in their head as to what may or who would make a good leader. What are some qualities or different characteristics you think of when you think about leadership? Abigail, you want to go ahead?
Sure, I can start off. A lot of conservative activism on campus requires organizing events. So that means being very organized, very detailed, and making sure all the logistical aspects are well put into place and making sure that you can get the message out to people, especially students who might not be active in your community and you need to reach out to them. I would also say that in my capacity, I've done a lot of writing. So I've published a few op-eds here and there. Other times I've written private letters to university administrators urging them to do things. So I think having good writing skills is definitely a benefit, not only for conservative activism, but really for any responsibilities you might have.
Yes, that's a good point, right? Yeah, especially that you've been able to use your writing skills and show leadership in that way. That's great. Lila, what do you think? Some qualities of a leader?
I think some of the most important things for leadership are just in general being a fair and honest person. But in the leadership roles that I've held, I found that leaders are most successful when they work alongside their team and kind of lead through example. So that's something that's really important to me, is showing the people that I work with and the teams that I lead that I am willing to work with them and do what they do every day and support them in their roles.
Yes, I love that. What do you think, Jordyn?
So I think Lila just made a lot of really good points. I think there are a lot of qualities that leaders can have. that are very important. But I think for me, it really comes down to being proactive and passionate. On the one hand, I think a leader should be proactive, because if you can establish a type of leadership where you're prepared in advance for the good and the bad, then there are really no negative surprises. So it shows a level of organization and professionalism to prepare ahead of time. And then it shows that you genuinely take your role as a leader seriously. And then on the other hand, I think passion is also important, because it's hard to be an effective leader if you don't believe in what you're leading. So if you can find a deep love for or connection to what you do, then the odds are you'll be more dedicated and more persuasive in your role as a leader.
Yeah, so true. You guys all nailed it with so many and brought so many different aspects, which is just wonderful. But I think that passion, that's important. You can always tell when someone's kind of faking it or not really believing in what they're trying to lead you or to bring you around to. So that's a good point. Sort of talking about that, something that we're all passionate about, conservatism. So how do you think specifically being a conservative woman has prepared you for your leadership roles on campus? Jordyn, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So I think it's actually a huge advantage to be a conservative woman, because it teaches you to think about things from a different perspective and then stay true to your conservative values in the process. So for me personally, going to a liberal arts school, I found that to be respected as a conservative, I needed to be overly prepared to defend my beliefs. And then I needed to be twice as nice, twice as open-minded to defy all those negative stereotypes associated with conservatism. And then also I needed to be even more confident than my counterparts so that my voice could be heard. And I think those aspects of a conservative's lived reality actually really helps us in leadership roles, because it makes us more aware and it allows us to know what we're up against. And I also think because respect is such an important part of conservatism, that we can channel that value and make sure it shines clearly in our approach to leadership as well.
Yes, very true. Lila, you want to jump in as well?
Absolutely. So I definitely agree with everything Jordyn just said. One of the most important things I think that's helped me as a conservative become a leader is that I've always had to speak up for the things that I believe in. And a lot of times I actually grew up in the Northeast, and I went to and I've always been in really liberal environments. So I might have been the only conservative in a room defending a particular viewpoint. So it's really helped me to become a stronger voice in those rooms and have the courage to speak up. And that has helped me in difficult situations as a leader, where maybe you're the one that has to address a particular problem or be able to kind of help someone in a tough spot. So that has absolutely helped me. And I think you really hit the nail on the head, Jordyn, about being twice as nice, because there are a lot of preconceived notions about what a conservative is. And so making sure that I am always the first person to greet someone and always being friendly has really helped me develop my leadership abilities as well.
Yes, it's unfortunate, but a reality that sometimes we have to fight against these preconceived notions of what people think about us. If they have an idea about how we think or believe politically, then they, make all these assumptions, and we have to constantly be pushing back against those. And I know Dana Perino has some fabulous quotes about basically conservative women knowing that we're going to get kind of the awful treatment anyway, and not fair treatment. So we should just keep our heads down and get our stuff done and let our work prove it, right? So she has some good quotes and insight about that, and she's a great example of a conservative woman leader who I look up to. Abigail, what about you?
I think I have similar thoughts. Liberal students on liberal campuses are inclined to view conservative students with scorn and contempt. I think that some conservative students try to fight fire with fire and might be a little bit hostile or antagonistic. But conservative women tend to conduct themselves with grace and a more charitable attitude, which provides a humanizing element to the conservative movement and gives us hopefully a better reputation.
Yes, exactly. And I just think that's a better approach in general. I think, although it's fun and entertaining sometimes to watch people like go at it and fight about different beliefs. And, that fight fire with fire works for some people and is entertaining. I think if you actually want to build bridges and open communication and have some respectful dialogue and debate, kindness is definitely the way to go, and just mutual respect for others is something we try to do at NU and with our chapter women, and we love to see it on campuses. So, and I know all of y'all, you've all done it in your chapters as well. So, okay, pivoting a little bit, this is kind of a fun question that I like to hear responses to when we've had these kind of conversations. But when did you first think of yourself, or when did you realize that you were a leader? For some people, it was like, oh, when I was 5 and this happened, like very early on, like super confident. They just knew that they were a leader and had those qualities. But some people, it takes a while, and it's like after they've been in roles and all of a sudden realize like, wait, I guess so. So yeah, maybe where did that happen for you? When did that realization happen for you? And we can go to Lila first.
I'm not sure if there was a particular moment where, like an aha moment where I was like, I am a leader. But I've always found myself kind of stepping into leadership roles, and I really enjoy leading others, and also just always trying to be different. Where some people might choose to go along with a group, I always like to try to pick a different path. And I love stepping into the different leadership roles that I've been part of, and being able to kind of blaze my own path in those roles as well, and just kind of help the groups develop as well as work with other teams. So I've been able to do a lot of that in college, and I've really enjoyed it. So I guess you could say in college, but just kind of in general, I've enjoyed it as long as I can remember.
Yes, that's great. What about you, Jordyn?
So very similarly, I don't think there was a moment. It's a really hard question for me, because I think that the feeling of realizing that you're a leader kind of comes with the leadership roles that you put yourself in. And I don't think I ever really thought of myself as a leader. But then once I developed a level of dedication, professionalism, and credibility in those roles, by doing just the best that I could and by caring as much as I possibly could, I realized I could keep going, and I realized I could continue to affect positive change in my leadership roles and then strive for others to do the same. So it was kind of the entire process of being in those positions that made me want to keep going.
Yes, I love that. Sometimes that confidence just develops from you get thrust into a position or handed some responsibility, and you just step into it and take ownership, and the confidence comes later, and then you realize that's great. What about you, Abigail?
I didn't actively seek out any of the positions that I currently hold. I sort of just participated in the clubs that I liked to be in, and very slowly sort of accrued officer or leadership positions. Yet I don't consider myself much of a leader or an activist. I just care very deeply about these causes, and I want to contribute my time and energy to them. And if I do that as an officer, or if I do that just as a member, or even if the club doesn't exist and I'm doing it anyways, it doesn't really strike me as leadership or activism. It's really sort of more an act of charity.
Yeah, that it naturally sort of developed or came along because you were following your passions, right? Talking about that, investing your time and resources into things that were important to you. And then the leadership pieces kind of fell into place. I think that happens for a lot of people. And it's a natural way to develop these skills. But also just important because it shows that you have the qualities there all along, and those things will come to place. They'll rise up. Those opportunities will rise up in the different clubs and activities that you're a part of. So that's great. One of my favorite ways to kind of end these conversations is to focus on some advice or a takeaway for other young women in college who are thinking about maybe stepping into a leadership role or taking on some additional responsibilities. What advice do you have for them who are looking for ways to plug in and step into a leadership role in college? We can start with you, Abigail.
I think I'd have to repeat part of what I said earlier. I think try to conduct yourself with grace and really just try to be a nice, good person. People are inclined to dislike conservatives on college campuses, and therefore you need to conduct yourself that much more respectably. I think that any student really does themselves a disservice by acting in a poor manner, whether you're trying to advance a political cause or simply just make friends. And so leadership is enhanced by being a good person, no matter what sort of leadership position you're in, no matter what sort of campus or environment you're in, and no matter what cause you're trying to advance.
Yes, I love that. So leading with the qualities and then the rest will follow. Like leading with those characteristics of just being respectable and kind, and the rest will follow. I like that. Okay, Lila, you want to jump in?
So I think always definitely have the courage to step out of your comfort zone, especially for students or young women across the country that are just kind of looking at maybe taking that on. If you're thinking about it, it will probably be a positive experience and you'll definitely learn something from it. And I think while in that role, make personal connections with anyone around you. Those connections will last a lifetime, and just showing a friendly face, even if it's someone that you disagree with, will make a lasting impression on everyone around you, and it might change their perception of what conservatism is, and it might even encourage people who are a little bit more shy to come to a meeting or join your organization, because we've had a lot of really shy girls who are nervous about people knowing that they're conservative. So making that personal connection might encourage people to come and learn a little bit more.
Yes, that's great advice. Okay, what about you, Jordyn?
Yeah,
What advice would you share?
Of course. I think that we can all agree that it's hard sometimes to be a conservative on a college campus, especially when the majority opposes you or might not even respect what you have to say. But it's important to remember that the conservative values we embody are crucial to the preservation of American democracy. And we should be confident in sharing those values. I'm a firm believer in that if you have a belief, you shouldn't hide that belief. It's not worth hiding. It's because if you hide a belief, it's something not worth having in the first place, because that means that there's something inherently shameful about that belief. But there isn't anything shameful about being a conservative leader. And so I think it's up to conservative women to change that narrative and to change that perception that it's somehow shameful to be a conservative. And I think we need to step up to the plate and show that we can be leaders. And the most effective way that we can do that is to treat everyone, like everyone was saying, with kindness, with respect, with open-mindedness, no matter where you fall in the political spectrum. Because I think it's important for everyone to remember that we're human first, and there's more that unites us than divides us. And if we can lead with that mentality, then I think we're going to be really successful in our endeavors.
Wow, y'all, that was some wonderful advice. I'm hearing a lot of patterns. I think the fact that all of y'all hit on just stepping up and trying things, which is important, like just going for it, because even if, I mean, we learn often even more through, I would say, failures, but that sounds dramatic. I mean, just maybe something's not super successful. You still learn a ton through any of these experiences. And I don't think you'll really ever regret taking on, especially in college, just a new opportunity or a new challenge. You can learn so much either way. And the fact about being respectful, and the more that other women, other conservative women especially, can see you, young ladies, and others in our chapters and on campuses across the country, stepping into these roles and thriving and just putting their best foot forward, it'll just continue to encourage others. There's solidarity in that, there's community in that, and that's important. So thank you guys for all the work that you were doing on campus across the country. A real quick question, a fun question to end on, you have 30 seconds to think about it. Might not take you that long, but who's a conservative female leader who you admire? Could be anyone. I mentioned Dana Perino. I love her. We read her book last year. She's fabulous. And Nikki Haley is also a big one of mine. Anyone else want to jump in with one of their favorite conservative female leaders? I know I put you on the spot, sorry.
I can maybe start. I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of Justice Barrett. I think she's incredibly admirable, not only as a person, not only as a mother, not only as a conservative, but even as a justice. Even if you're on the opposite side of her politically and ideologically, you can really commend the quality of her work.
Yes, that's a great one.
I can go next. So I always look up to Nikki Haley. I think she is awesome, and I've loved kind of watching her step into the different roles between governor and then ambassador to the UN, seeing how she has really shown what it is to be a conservative woman. And I know one day I want to be like her. Maybe I won't be ambassador to the UN, but like Nikki Haley would be awesome.
Dream big, you never know. Go ahead, Jordyn.
Sure. And I think this is one that comes up a lot, but especially recently, it goes, I have a lot. And right now, I think that Candace Owens is always a very inspiring icon, conservative icon, because she's just fearless and she doesn't let anyone tell her what or how to think. And I really appreciate that in a conservative woman.
Yes, those are all great options. So thank you, ladies. Thanks for indulging me in a fun last question. Abigail, Lila, Jordyn, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today as part of our Lead Like a Lady series. We appreciate all the work that you're doing as leaders on your campuses and in your communities. I wish you the best of luck with the rest of the semester. And thank you all for watching.